I was born to Australian parents, but unfortunately, my childhood was marked by difficulties. My parents got divorced when I was very young due to my father's abusive behavior. Even though they're no longer together, we still face problems with him. In fact, I haven't seen or spoken to him in 12 years. My mum had 4 kids with him, and despite the challenges we've faced, she's been a rock for our family. After my parents' divorce, my mum started seeing a Lebanese Muslim man. However, he wasn't very devout in his faith. They had a complicated on-again, off-again relationship, which resulted in the birth of my youngest brother. The reason for the tumultuous relationship was his infidelity and dishonesty. He would constantly lie to my mum and cheat on her, causing her to end things with him multiple times. However, he would always manage to win her back, taking advantage of her kind and compassionate nature. Growing up, my family didn't know much about Islam. All we were familiar with were Ramadan and Eid celebrations. On the other hand, I was quite involved in Catholicism. I attended Bible studies and was actively practicing my faith. However, as I delved deeper into Catholicism, I began to feel increasingly perplexed. I started asking questions, seeking clarification on certain aspects of the faith. But the responses I received were unsatisfying. I was told to simply have faith and believe. For me, that wasn't enough. I needed a deeper understanding, a stronger foundation to base my beliefs on. As a result, I decided to leave Catholicism behind, searching for a faith that would provide me with the answers and clarity I was seeking. Although I had left Catholicism, I still believed in the existence of God. However, I was struggling to find clarity and direction. Around this time, my youngest brother's father had been in Lebanon for over 2 years. Before he left, he sent his cousin to our house. This cousin, who was 27 years old, had a wife and a beautiful 4-year-old daughter. We quickly became close, like siblings or best friends. I would often turn to him for advice or support, and he would do the same. What struck me was that he was a devout Muslim, yet we never discussed religion. He was incredibly respectful and would even join us in celebrating birthdays and Christmas. Despite our differences, we had formed a strong bond, and I had grown to appreciate his kindness, compassion, and wisdom. Little did I know that this friendship would eventually play a significant role in my spiritual journey. In September 2012, we were attending a christening ceremony. Before we left for the church, my brother's father's cousin came over to check on us, as he did every day. He wanted to make sure we didn't need anything. When we arrived at the church, I was taken aback by the priest's appearance. He had a mullet haircut and was wearing tennis shoes, which seemed unusual for a formal ceremony. But what really caught my attention was his bizarre statement. He claimed that now that the children were baptized, they would be protected if they ever joined a cult. I still remember the day of the christening ceremony in September 2012. Every time the priest would pour water on one of the babies' heads, all the babies in the room would start crying, even the ones in the crowd. I found it eerie. The reception that followed was just as unsettling. The priest began flirting with my mom, smoking, and drinking with the teenagers. I was appalled and thought to myself, what is this? We left the reception early and headed home. When we arrived, we received the devastating news that my brother's father's cousin had passed away. May Allah have mercy on him. I was heartbroken. However, this tragic event brought us closer to his wife and daughter. His wife and I started discussing religion, and I was impressed by her devotion and knowledge. Islam began to make sense to me in a way that Catholicism never had. She introduced us to a sheikh's wife, who patiently answered all our questions. Thanks to Allah's guidance, my mom, sister, and I converted to Islam that very night. A week later, my 14-year-old brother followed suit. Praise be to Allah, he now aspires to become a sheikh. The feeling I experienced when I first recited the Shahada was indescribable. It was as if a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and I felt light as a feather. I knew in that moment that I had made the right decision. And thanks to Allah, none of us have ever turned back.